Hey, hello. Good evening, all of you. How are you doing? So, I'm your host, Nagesh Deshpande, and I again welcome you to Agile Exploration Hub. And today's episode, we are going to meet Veerendra Sontakke, uh, and we are going to discuss more about product management, product owner role in Agile teams. So Veerendra Sontakke is a good old friend of mine. We have worked more than 5 years together in two different organizations. So he has more than 16 years experience in IT industry. He started his career as a developer and he transformed his career successfully in from developer to product management. And because I worked with him, I know he is, he will give you always give a different perspective about products and product owner role, product management, and his insights are always useful. um he has Apart from this, he has a multi-dimensional personality. He's a vivid writer, a reader. He reads a lot of interesting stuff. I've seen his book reading collection. Apart from that, he likes to listen music. He is very artistic, take a lot of good pictures, and he writes Hindi, Urdu poems as well. And he's one of my friend, or who really like reading and talking about Marathi ghazals. Marathi ghazal is a very unique niche, skill
Yes.
set to have. And what else I can say? One interesting thing I really always and really like to mention here is something which is made me successful in my career. Virendra has a very big hand in it. So at the start of my career, I was struggling in test automation, and it was very difficult period for me. People were pretending to help me; they were not helping. And Virendra saw me struggling, and he come up with the helping hand, and he taught me how to write code in .NET. And believe me, guys, that was the turning point of my career. One of my success journey started from that day, thanks to Virendra. And I would really like to welcome Virendra. And
Thank you for those nice words. And it's always been, I mean, it's really pleasure while we every time we connect on this platform or even on a phone call or whenever we were working with the previous organization, having discussion with you or on a general and light note. I think, yeah, I mean, it's always been pleasure. And thanks for that introduction. And I think one of the reason that you mentioned about our experience and where we collaborated to get you on board with the dot. And I think that's importantly the part of learning zeal that you had. I think that's the important piece. And I think that's, I think both we can draw parallels from both, so we like to learn. So I think that's, I think, still connecting us. So
right,
thanks.
right. I still remember those days, Virendra. It was
Yeah.
fun, working together,
Yeah.
learning together. It's
Yes.
that small cubicle, and then you used to go for tea breaks and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, young faces, not
Yes.
low fat, skinny.
Exactly. True.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess we both didn't started our. No, no. I was. Yeah, I had a family. I didn't.
And I think
Uh,
one of the common point was also the experience of Mumbai working.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
came
yeah,
from,
yeah.
yeah,
Another
yeah.
another point was
That
Mumbai
was
experience. Yes,
yes. So
boarding
comparing the
those,
culture of Pune
yeah,
and Mumbai.
comparing cultures and boarding those local trains, and
Yeah, yeah,
comparing the traffic or the crowd in the bus or train with Pune people
right.
and all that. Yeah, it was fun. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it was fun.
yeah, it was. I still remember few of our colleagues. We
Yeah,
can talk whole day about it, but
yeah,
let's
exactly.
focus. Yeah, let's
Let's
focus on
focus
today's
on the
topic. So, guys,
today's topic. Yeah,
yeah. So, see, Virendra, we have that. Guys. So to our audience, we can talk whole day. Me and Virendra about those memories, and that's all about. So IT is not just about delivering product or making technology or making customer happy. At one end you can make good friends as well, and then you can learn from them. So let's directly now dive into our today's topic. So now we have another product manager, product owner with us. So just shortly, just summarize our audience or viewers your journey from
Yeah.
developer to product manager?
Yeah. Sure. Thanks for asking that, Ganagesh. And yeah, uh, uh, I will briefly talk about that. And I really reflect when I reflect back on the overall journey of my, that I think I have developed this now about me, that it is really interesting journey, and lot of learnings, lot of things to improve upon, lot of things to get the complete different perspective. So I started as a .NET engineer. I completed my master's in computer application from Jalgaon, and then as a fresh grad, joined one of the company in Mumbai, worked there for a couple of years, and then after that shifted to Pune, and then I think we got on the same company when we were part of the Neelant Technologies. And so around a decade, for more than a decade, I was working as a technical product engineering contributor, and along with that I started shadowing the product manager, where I was when I was working as a one of the team member for my previous organization. And then I slowly transitioned myself from the developer or engineering role to the product management role. uh, it was a phase where I always knew, I mean, when I reflect back, as I said, I will reflect back my journey. I always been in my subconscious mind that I always curious about why we are building something. And whenever I was even doing the coding for a application, I always wanted to understand who the users that will get benefit from this functionality. And I think that curiosity, if I remember and if I reflect correctly, that curiosity drives me, that it's now more, instead of just owning the part of development, I need to get focused that what customers are or what users wanted, and why the function needs to be developed that way. So that's how I transition. And yeah, I got a experience in different industries like healthcare and then fintech also current. Yeah, so yeah, it's been a nice journey so far. And yeah, and again, the common factor that we both drive from the using the agile principles in practice, that whenever I did a play role of a scrum master also for a few years. And then I mean, I now understand the both the perspective when it comes to managing the team from a scrum master standpoint, and practicing the agile principle from that hat, let's say. And then practicing agile principle if I am wearing a hat of product person. So yeah, that's how I think I could summarize briefly. Yeah, it
Okay,
was interesting, and it is still interesting and learning journey for me.
great, great. Yeah. So you also mentioned about multiple roles and all that, and
Yeah,
even our viewers, or even I realized that I use product manager, product owner roles, in
yeah,
parallel. So for a new person or for someone, it might be the look like similar. No, but what is difference here? Why do these two different role exist in the industry?
yeah. That's interesting point, I think. And yeah, with my experience, I could reflect this way, that so let's start from this way, that for example, if we learn or if we read the Scrum guide, then Scrum guide talk about three important role, that product
Right.
owner, Scrum master, and development team
Team.
or engineering team. And then from that perspective, the product owner role, when it comes to specifying the product owner role, there are two perspectives. One is that how Scrum defines that, and how it is defined in the Scrum guide. So when it comes to product owner role in the Scrum ecosystem, then essentially every piece that concerns with identifying the user personas or identifying the user requirement or taking the product to a growth, it is been documented from that perspective. But we need to understand that Scrum guide is, if we define, let's say, a situation where there is a more than one product or a single product, and then there is a scale product. If we draw
Mm,
two, let's say, axis, that team is growing and the product is growing, in that axis, the lowest most corner, where single team and single product, Scrum is defined from that perspective.
got
So
it.
that's
Yeah.
why if your product is a product where there is no like a big enterprise product or a big large product suite you're talking about, that is a context where the product owner role is defined in the Scrum guide. But now in the industry, what happened, when you work in a real corporate environment, there are different types of product that get built. a product like, say, for example, like WhatsApp or and bigger to the management information systems that we deal with the healthcare or any fintech product or any technology products. So there is a range of products that we can build. So in that context, what happens? The organizations got set up in a different way. If the organization is having a different global or operations, then organization culture or setup will be different. But if the organization is completely organic and brought up in local country, there can be different. So what I'm trying to aim to say is that when we talk about product owner and product manager role, uh, industry has divided this way that the the product managers in a global company, let's say, where customers are, let's say, take example of any US based company where customers are in the US,
Uh-huh.
and one of the responsibility of a product person is to deal with customer, identify the requirements, identify the growth opportunities, and make the product best value of it. So that part of product owner role or product person's role is been taken care by the product manager. But when it comes to now providing actionable items for a team to start working on, for example, creating a breaking down that vision
Mm.
and creating a actionable task for iterations or increments, and giving that details to the team and interacting with the teams on a daily basis, so that you are close to the building part of it and understand what product is getting built. So that part is now, or in that case, can be handled by the product owner. So we can say that there is a spectrum of responsibility
Right.
from a and then the spectrum can start from responsibility that are facing to the engineering team, and then facing to the customers team.
Customer team.
So that's how the responsibilities got divided, and that's why I have seen the pattern that the people who are having a product manager as a title, or now there is another, if before going ahead, I can share my experience that there are companies also where people having a product manager role are also being close to the engineering teams, and there is no product owner setup as such. Or there are companies where a product owner is titled that way, and he is also directly interacting with the customers. So there is a very we can say like a customized adaptation of this term, but largely the pattern is this way, that the responsibilities start from engineering facing responsibility to customer facing responsibility. Product managers largely they are dealing this uh, responsibility of handling customer and preparing a roadmap and identifying the vision and providing that to the higher management. And then product owners are close to engineering and breaking down that vision and providing actionable items to the team. So that's how I think pattern exists. But yeah,
Oh,
as you said, yeah.
that's a very good perspective, very, large, and then, lot of things to look at it, you know so mm, you know so let's come on to the next point.
Yeah.
So you have to work with, so let's say, I as already mentioned, we work together, and then I see you working with the customers, you working with the development team and all that. So decision making as a product manager, as a product owner,
Yeah.
so and when we are talking about agile manifesto and all that, so how this agile manifesto, shape your decision making, how it is helping you?
Yeah, I do really. I mean, I think we discussed like on a very personal conversation that the Agile principle or Agile manifesto values are really uh, they have really value in those, and then it's about practicing those. So I do agree, and you remember that. So we discussed about. So from that point of view, I mean, I do agree, and I do believe there is a lot of value in those. And when it comes to practicing those value from a product management side, one of the important point I would say, or like or more than one, I would say,
Hmm.
not only one,
Yeah.
but maybe, yeah, if we can just prioritize one from the daily experience point of view, I have found that the important value that helped me in my conduct and in my
Okay.
decision making.
Hmm.
So when it comes to conduct, let's say, so for example, having a collaboration, then following the process that we talk as Agile Manifesto, that
Right.
I found very helpful in my daily to daily day job as a product owner, as a product manager, because most of the time, let's say if I now, let's say I'm dealing with some product which for which I am having a workshop with the customer, discovery workshop, and then along with the designers, we are creating a design, let's say. So somehow I have, let's say, my mental model that what product we are building. But then at some point in time, because there can be a subtle experiences where I will start with, let's say, hey, I need this save functionality, just for example.
Got
So
it.
I need this save functionality, but now there are different layers of that save functionality could be. So after, let's say, if I'm building a save functionality, is it going to be part of a bigger workspace functionality or something like that? Or while working with the save, is there any subtle different expectation of the customer? So if I put that as one of the requirement into any Jira or ADO, it can be a single dimensional information. But now when I start collaborating with the team and sharing more explanation and sharing more context about the functionality, at the same time the why aspect of it, that why we are building this functionality, so that sometimes you may have a limited if you are following a process of documenting it, you have a limited exposure, you can provide a limited exposure to the team. But when it comes to having a more verbal discussion, collaborating with them, participating in the let's say possibly the daily scrums that we are having, or any being open for any questions, then what happens that the developer will understand the user persona for whom we are building the functionality, and the why aspect is getting built.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I think that from a conduct point of view, I found that principle of practicing that principle, that collaboration over processes is must that we should have. And yeah, and from a decision making point of view, that again, it can also be get related or let's say, for example, the another value that we talk in Agile Manifesto, that having a working software over a comprehensive documentation.
Comprehensive documentation.
Yeah, so when I want to do a, let's say I'm now building, I'm starting a new product, let's say, for example, and I want to develop the MVP as quickly as possible, so that I can go to the customer and get early feedback in that case. So when I'm having these conversations and having a collaborative attitude and my conduct with the team, having that visibility about the progress will help me to project and decide that at what point in time what should I deliver, and what my product roadmap should be combined. So let's say, for example, I'm now working with the team for over, let's say, a couple of months, and I get a general sense that okay, the team is fairly new, let's say a young team is got developed, everyone is now young, there will be, you can imagine, there will be some chaos, team is trying to get, yeah,
Right.
so there
Farming.
will be, yeah, so yeah, forming. So in that case, it will take some time to identify at what velocity team is churning out the product backlog. So after a couple of months, let's say if I figure out that okay, now there is this X velocity team is churning out, then I can use that information to project that roadmap, or project that visibility to my senior management, where they are
Yes.
asking me that okay. So that's how I think these couple of principles I help me in my conduct and creating those product roadmap decisions and providing visibilities to customers and internal stakeholders as well. So yeah, it's really I really find the values in that.
Right. So you mentioned about comprehensive, so the working software or the comprehensive documentation. In
Yeah,
previous video also we discussed about it. So I
yeah,
I always ask my team, you install any app, let's say WhatsApp
yeah,
or Uber. Don't you think so? Everyone is aware Uber, WhatsApp has a help document available. Do we really go and read that before using it? No, no, we are not
yeah,
using it.
yeah,
but
yeah,
but it's not like that we should not create a document. We have to, we must, but it should be lightweight. So always, even in the last video we discussed this point. I'm just repeating myself, but
yeah,
yeah, so that's a good point. uh,
yeah. And there is a good analogy
mm,
for documentation, of course. Um, so it goes like, I mean, if I remember, I'm not sure where we discussed this, but it's like this way. So you you probably want to buy a car with the sunroof, and you in your life, or in a life cycle of using that car, you might be using the sunroof in few occasions. But when you want it, and if you don't find it sunroof, then the experience get hampered. So for
Right.
example, I'm traveling with my family and my little kid wants to just stand out and experience that greenery on the road and
Breeze. Mm.
breeze, feel the breeze. And at that time, if I don't have a sunroof, he might get, oh, here. So that on the, so documentation is that way. So when you want something to find out, and if the documentation is not there, then it will have a different experience, or customer
Right.
experience is getting hampered. So probably that way I think so. So yeah, and there are instances where probably documentations is a must have, and we should provide that documentation. But yes, as you rightly said, most of the time when you get experience of using the application, it is more organic than reading the documentation and following the process. So yeah, I do agree. Yes.
Okay, so let's take this conversation in a different mode now.
Okay.
Something interesting. Let's make it interesting. And a
Okay.
lot of our viewers are even people who are aspiring to be a Scrum Master or product owner might have heard this one in the interview.
Okay.
So you talk about roadmap and then requirements, stakeholder, and so how as a product owner you deal with the situation where already been done, the roadmap has been done, the product vision has been done, and
Okay.
there is a requirement change.
Oh yeah, classic case of handling. So yeah, that's it's a, so there are, I mean, there are different flavors of handling this situation, because at what phase you are
Right.
in the product development life cycle, that adds the different flavors. So imagine the situation that your product, you shift to a product to production environment, and now there is a change. And let's say you are in a situation where your product development is ongoing, and then there is a change. Or the third flavor could be you are into a product development, you are close to production now, or you are close to release now, and coming up to the change. So they, I think these different flavors I have experienced. So one of the I would say a kind of principle that I always follow to deal with this situation fairly, it gets aligned. There are nuances, of course, and based on the situation we have to. But I think one common denominator principle that I have found out is to focus on why aspect. That, let's say, for
Mhm.
example, as you talk about that, if there is a requirement change, let's take an example that now we just started, and we are into the phase of just creating a first version of a product. And so what happens, let's say, at the same time team is building that product, I may go and show that product to customers to get early feedback.
Mm.
And that early feedback helped me to understand the way the functionality is built is not something exactly customer wanted. So now when I, now it's a difficult position or difficult situation to ask team to say that you have done this way, because requirement has been documented that way, but now there is a change. So what helped me in this case, that why now we are changing this,
Right.
because now I have, let's say, more data backed information to share to my team, so that we build this functionality this way, but the experience is not what we have expected. And now that's why, because of the user experience is this way, or data that we have, that with the feedback that we are getting from the customer, we have to alter this functionality. So that I think it helped me, so explaining the why part.
Right.
And of course there are these nuances that when there, if that new change that we are bringing in, if it is impacting, let's say, change in the architecture itself, or changing of a functional implementation, the way it has been done, then we have to understand, like, how much impact and how much time it will take, and how then we will go and ship that product. So there are these like different situations that we need to tackle. But I, from my experience, it helped me that when I explain the why to the team, there is a fair bit of positive conversations I experienced that way. So
Good point.
yeah.
Very well said. And from one key takeaway from your this responses, those viewer who are watching you, if you are development team member, be it a developer or QA, ask why we are doing it. Ask this question to each and every member who bringing this change, dependency, whatever. Ask your scrum masters. ask your product owners, ask your managers why we are doing. See,
Yeah, yeah,
if you keep asking this every time why, then you will be able to understand the you know the way ahead, why we are
yeah,
doing changes. Your life will become very easy. And thanks Virendra for
yeah.
let's yeah to bringing this
And
point.
it sometimes it also happened that maybe I, as a product person, I may not always have a reason that why, but then getting that question from team or from anyone who is having a discussion, it it may push me to the wall to say that okay, we need this information, but then
Hmm.
it opens the possibility of finding out which was not done. So for
Right.
example, if it is just my opinion based feedback that we need to change it, but then I need to understand really that data points from a user research or from the market research or from the direct user feedback, that okay, this is how it is helping product to grow. And that's I think I think that the openness in also a key here, that I also should be open enough to
Right.
get that question, and team should also be being open and being curious if there is they're daunting them, and then you can ask and put them into the context.
Great. Great. So moving ahead.
Yeah,
So we saw like you moved from a development background to product owner role. I moved from a tester background to a scrum master role.
yeah,
But I know my future goal.
yeah,
But what on product side? What is the vision?
yeah.
What you envision in future as a product manager or as a product role? What is the future of a product owner?
And so you mean that what kind of career progression
Yes, career
person can see?
progression. Yes.
Oh yes,
Mm.
oh yes. So yeah, I mean, it's a in a typical if we see from different titles and different roles in that part. So generally, uh, yeah, as we discussed that there are, let's say, product owner and product manager pair setup. So let's take a imagine that the
Right.
organization is different,
Mm.
set up this way. So if you are a product owner who is more of an engineering side of playing that role, next step could be going to the more customer facing, being a product manager, then product manager to the senior product manager, and then from senior to there are then the two track normally happens, that either you can still be uh, go in that zone like a senior and principal product manager, or you can pursue a path where you would have a more responsibility, let's say director of product manager and chief product owner in that sense. So you, along with that, you get a people management responsibility as well. Normally product there are a lot of articles and a lot of opinion there. And again, there is a flavor that product managers in some organizations have like a reporting where either a business analyst or a product owner or an associate product manager
Mm.
reporting to them. This also setup I have seen. And there are also setup where product owners are, no one is reporting to them, and they are individual contributors, where because importantly we have to understand the important artifact that a product manager or product owner needs to produce is to own the roadmap for the product,
Got it.
maximize the value of where the product is and how that product can be taken to the next level, and identifying different revenue streams and moving ahead. There can be profit and loss responsibility for a product also that can be managed by product manager. So there are these type of responsibility as well. So that's why product managers in some organizations kept as individual contributors, and no one is reporting to them, and they can become a senior product manager and principal product manager, and then that way. Or the other way where you are leading the, let's say if you are having a more like a portfolio of a product,
Mm.
and along with that a director of product can have a product manager reporting to him or her, and then he or she will be responsible for that complete suite of the product or the
Complete
complete
suit. Yeah.
yeah. So that way, and then he or she can report to the VP of product or a chief product officer or something like that. So yes, but this way can be one career progression path I can see. And of course I recently read somewhere that Airbnb is have now more or they have a now product organization where product function is like an integrated a part of product marketing. So it's not the product management function as such has been wiped out, but it's now more a product marketing integrated kind of a function. So people can move in that area also if they want to. So there are growth PMs title and role where they have a important responsibility to take the product revenue from this X to X plus 2 or X plus 3. So that kind of roles also do exist, and people can transition and progress there also.
Great.
So yeah, in the product space itself. And of
Great.
course, and as you might also have read, and we always say that like it's a mini CEO of a product. So maybe next CEO position, once you have worked in this area, probably CEO can be also good post.
Great, 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 great. Yeah. So lot of things. Too many. So too many things that we can learn from Virendra. So Virendra's LinkedIn profile will be available in the description box, so you can connect with him. Feel free to ask him questions via
Sure.
LinkedIn. Moving ahead. Now I am a Scrum Master. You are a
Yeah.
product owner. We work together.
You
So
have you are a quite seasoned Scrum Master, I would say. lot of
I'm still
different. I have
learning.
yeah.
I'm still learning. Yeah.
Your LinkedIn feed is like flooded with the different you. I mean, I don't attend the seminars or webinars or the events that you attend. I mean, you've always been some on some weekend. I will find Nagesh is attending this meetup or this seminar. So yeah,
Yeah. See, there is lot of knowledge available in this industry for free. So
yeah,
why to miss? Just gain.
yeah. Of
Uh,
course.
yeah, but moving ahead, let's we can discuss that thing sometime later. But let's
Yeah,
discuss. So I'm bringing these two different individuals, product owner, Scrum Master.
yeah,
Uh, I know, I have my own personality. I have my own style. I have my own way to interact with product.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you suggest even me or even fellow Scrum Masters? How can we first of all um, bring this product vision or holistic view or a larger picture view and or increase the collaboration with product.
Yeah, it's a interesting point that you brought in, and I mean now, of course, now in this context that of course um, within limit time in constant we can have. I mean, it can be a very big discussion point to have a more comprehensive and but still, if I let's say put it this way, that uh, product owner or a product manager and then Scrum Master association is one of the key association, I would say, because it is said that the Scrum Master is a person who has a or who should have a more control on the practices the team is following, and should be a leader who is adapting on different situation, like a situational leadership that we
Right.
talked about.
Right.
So in that case, I would say that when there are there would be different situations where Scrum Master can drive or facilitate product owner in certain way, and of course there will be certain situation where product owner will like to drive Scrum Master in certain way. So let's take an example, for example, that uh, uh, let's say that as we discussed we can discuss in two different situations. Let's take a situation the team is fairly new,
Hmm.
and in that case, let's say the Scrum Master is seasoned. He has experience. He has been working as a Scrum Master for quite a few years, and he know in and out that what product backlog should look like and what the sprint ceremonies should be happening and what the output or content of that sprint. But somehow it is not happening. So in that case, as it is expected from a product owner to provide a sprint level backlog and the product level backlog, so that team is having enough visibility about the future work coming in. If that is not happening, then Scrum Master can now have a drive or can facilitate product owner in certain way that
Right.
okay, let's say for example you are Scrum Master and I am product owner for same team, but you find that for at least next iteration there is no backlog. There can
Right.
be different reason. I have been interacting with different people and I do not have got time to put that into the requirement, or I may be lazy. But then in both the situation, it's I think you who should now take that initiative and be proactive in asking product owner that can we start having those refinement sessions.
Exactly.
like can we that can, and then if needed, can we take, let's say, a tech person into the discussion to get that. So
Right.
it's so you are playing a key role as a scrum master here to make sure that the team has got enough details on the Jira board or a ADO board and feed it with the backlog. That's, I think, and in this case, the behavioral aspect comes into the picture. How much you are
How you
open,
interacting with, how you are
interacting with,
open. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And certain situation, there can be a situation where now product owner uh, has, let's say, hypothetically provided all the details for a team to work on, added the details and acceptance criteria, and provided the vision about then where the product is going to be in next few, let's say, months. But at the same time, what is happening that now somehow team is missing the sprint goals for 2 3 4 sprints. In that case, now a product owner will have to take a discussion with scrum master and ask that how can we improve this situation,
Mm.
what are the areas where now you as a scrum master, if the same team is reporting to you also in that case, because you will also agree that there are situations where team is reporting to the scrum masters also, and
Right.
there are setup or organizations where team is not reporting to scrum master as well. So considering that the same team is reporting to you as a in that case, so you will have a you will have to take a position saying that, okay, let me try to now get into the details. What are the issues? Are there not having a requirement, enough requirement clarification, or there are any technical details missing, or is it different issues in the people management side?
Right.
So I think that's why the based on the situation, someone will have a take a bigger role and someone has to support that role. So that's how I see.
Great, great, great. So, in your previous discussion, previous point,
Yeah,
you smartly, you very easily explain, sustainability.
yeah,
Mm. So,
yeah,
see,
exactly.
guys, yes, as a Scrum Master, you should focus on sustainability. Yeah. So, and sustainability throughout. You know, so product, when you're doing development, when you're doing testing, when you're releasing something, it should be sustainable development. Yeah. You cannot just,
Yeah,
product, you
and that's
just, wait for product to complete all the requirements, and then product doesn't give a further requirement or further, you know issues or stories, like he mentioned. There is nothing. So you and
yeah,
again ask why. Hmm. So good point. I will say
yeah.
sustainable development is a very, very crucial thing that you as a scrum master should focus, understand. And if there are any gaps, if there is, if you see any challenges where the sustainable development is not happening, identify those and try to, solve those.
And because that's how the confidence on the team will get built if we are
Exactly.
able to provide a predictable output and outcomes at the end of the sprint, and with the consistent, let's say, a certain velocity, and providing that visibility, then it gives now a better confidence for someone who is trying to go to the customer and say that, okay, at this certain point in time this functionality will be delivered.
Hmm. Nice, nice. Okay, moving on. So let's touch base on one of your favorite things, your hobbies. We already discussed about you like music, you like, you are a very artistic person, you read and all that. So I know, when it comes to designing and all that, I've seen those people who are good in designing, they're artists also. But how this, these ghazals and then poems and all that also helping you in your career?
Yeah, it does, I would say. I'm not, and first of all, like a disclaimer, I'm not that big like a writer. uh, People like Nagesh, who I admire, and it helps me to write something, and I try to improve there. But that's nevertheless, as you ask about, yes, that 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 part of writing, let's say, or taking some good snap, or listening to some creative work, it does help. It does help in a sense that, because it opens a perspective about the experiences. I remember uh, like for example, I'm a very vivid watcher of those mushairas, ghazal mushaira. I like to watch those. Even I have a not being to like a very few, one of them on thing, but at least on the online YouTube, I watch those. So what I take from that single two-liner poem or ghazal or share is written by someone,
Right.
but the way, let's say you take an example of Radin Norisa or Munawar Anasa, you you listen to them, how they present it, the way
Presentation.
of, yeah, so the way of telling it. And so it just a two-liner share, but the way of articulation and way of presenting keeps the audience intact and intrigued to that conference or to that event. I took that part to in my daily conduct, in my personal life as well, that how can you make sure that the people who are interacting with, in case of if I'm developing a product, how can I enhance that experience, that if there be a wow moment, can, like for example, showing a dialog box. I remember that there are like very interesting messages on a dialog box, save confirmation. So for example, if I give you like a plain dialog box, that are you really want to change or save, it's a
Right.
very plain way of text, but
Right.
instead I provide a very different perspective, that hey, you will lose the data, are
Hmm.
you really want to. So there's subtle things,
Right.
those minor things,
Hmm.
and focusing on experience, that
Right.
user experience and then the customer experience. I
Hmm.
think that I draw from these kind of
Hmm.
things. And even when I like to write, or if I like to create something that is, I focus on how it will provide a value, how it will get or enhance the experience of someone who is following that content.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think the content creation, it's eventually, so I put it this way. I mean, like the as we talk about the Scrum Master role, that, and then this product owner, that with the previous discussion. So I put it this way, that there are two types of leadership. So for example, Scrum Master and product owner, there is this content leadership,
Hmm.
and then there is a people leadership.
Right.
So in one of the I was following one webinar. I'm not recollecting the lady name, but I was following that YouTube video of IIT Bangalore. Sorry, I am Bangalore. That there is a Musing Friday kind of event that happened, and in that she was explaining this analogy. So let's say take an example of there is a let's say you are a sculpture artist, right?
Got it.
You want
Hmm.
to, let's say you want to create a sculpture of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, for example. You have that complete vision and mental model, that how you like to create that sculpture. Should it be a sculpture riding on the horse, or it is Maharaj is sitting on that Singhasan, or can it be like half, I don't know English word for a Taila Chitra, but I
Hmm.
don't know what is the right word for that. But let's say if that kind of sculpture you are creating, and then let's say if if I am a gardener who has a garden of different flowers and different crops in that. So when it comes to a content leadership, would you like to have a sculpture of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj having compromises there? No,
No,
you will not. You will,
not at
yeah.
all.
So you will exactly want the sculpture with the as much as finer details in that.
Right.
So you will not compromise on the content. But when it comes to so that's how the content leadership is. And so that's why the product, I put the product owner, product managers into that part, where there can be situations where we cannot really compromise on the things. Of course, we can have a phase where we can deliver the content on the incremental manner,
Hmm.
but eventually we need that. Save needs to work as save, list needs to work as a list, and then of course there can be minor issues we can release. So that's how I put it. But then when it comes to this kind of let's say, as we take example of gardener. So if I have a crop of, let's say, lily crop, and then there is a let's say different flowers. Every flower crop will have their own structural DNA, that how much crop can grow, right?
Grow. Right.
So my job as a gardener is to provide enough water and enough, let's say, environment, provide a right environment for
Nourishment.
every crop to grow, nourishment for every crop to grow. So that's how the things uh, I see that. So Scrum Master should be a person who is
Hmm.
providing that environment to team, who is
Right.
providing every right opportunity for a team, who is creating that culture that everyone should be open enough and transparent and vocal and be courageous to talk about, and there should not be any discrimination with that. But when it comes to a content creation or for a product person, he needs to be provided as much as minor detail to the team, so those details get captured while building the product. So that's how I try to draw the difference at the point that you make about following the different creations or content creation, let's say. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. It was amazing discussion. And maybe the last question.
Yeah.
Any book that you are reading as of now?
Uh, I kind of started on. I'm like halfway through those.
Hmm.
I like one of the book I started, but I haven't completed. I think like that we should read and everyone should read, like a road less travel.
Okay.
It's yeah, it's an interesting book that
Hmm.
gives it's about how you like there are different phases in the book. What is the how the upbringing, and as a parent we should work.
Hmm.
It is not really directly linked to your corporate life, but it is more of a life
Okay.
uh, teachings type of book. And then another book which is I've just started reading about is this lean startup, which is more on the will help to understand how the product should be lean, as much as lean process should be there, and there has to be less waste, so that we are building a quick product. This build, deploy, and feedback loop get established. So I'm reading about that. So I try to mix so in that way.
Great. Great. That gives me another opportunity to have second episode with Virendra, isn't it? Lean, lean product management. That's a good idea. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, why not? Sure.
Yeah, thanks once again, Virendra. It was wonderful discussion. I really enjoyed.
Same here, and it was a great
Every
time.
time, guys, every time whenever, not just this podcast, but in the office when we used to meet, or even if you meet, me and Virendra used to meet, we used to have a lot of fun, lot of discussions,
Yeah,
and yeah, uh, wish you a very prosperous life ahead. All the best for your career, and
you.
keep sharing the knowledge. I strongly encourage or support, or people who, or admire people who like to share their knowledge. And Virendra is one
Yeah,
of them. I already share my personal experience. It is very close to my heart, and it will stay there. So Virendra,
surely it
thank
will.
you.
And thank you, Nagesh, for. And I also really wish very good wishes and from bottom of my heart to have you now. This channel get flourished with more and more content. You are doing, I think, you are doing a really great job and creating this content where it's really helping everyone to understand the different perspective. And of course, you are really doing really great job. And yeah,
Thank you.
even now when this, if you will put this in social media, and we'll see the comments also, so we'll also
Yeah.
get that if we want to adjust something from that comments and improve upon there. So yeah, thank
Great.
you for having me here. And it was, as you rightly said, it's always been like the time is ticking. Every time we talk, I think it's feel like time is less.
Time
So
is less. Yes, yes.
uh,
But time boxing. As a scrum master, I'll bring time boxing here.
yeah, of course. So that's the anchor role that you are playing.
So
Of course,
no, see, I want to
definitely.
keep it interesting. We
Yeah,
cannot give everything in one session.
mm,
So our viewers should come back and ask. We want to see a. If you
sure.
want to see a second episode with Virendra, comment.
Yeah,
And we are reaching 100 subscriber to my channel, guys. So please do subscribe. Share this video with friends, your colleagues. Like it, and thank you, Virendra, once again. And
yeah. Thank you.
bye bye.
Bye bye. See you. Bye.